Lord Hermer and Keir Starmer, two of the biggest traitors the British country and our people have seen over the last 100 years, have just announced that they're not giving in yet. Yes, despite Keir Starmer announcing his resignation, despite him being a complete humiliation in the form of a Labour Prime Minister, despite being a failure in pretty much every sense of the word, they're not stopping. And Starmer and Hermer are going to seize their last few weeks in power to try and push forward one of the most unpopular, unnecessary and treacherous betrayals against the British people imaginable. We're of course talking about the Chagos Island surrender, where this Labour government wants to steal money from hard-working British people, send it overseas to an ally of China, along with giving them sovereignty of an island which they have never once in the history of humankind had control or ownership over. They are going forward with it, and they are trying to push the upcoming likely Prime Minister Andy Burnham to continue their disastrous legacy of giving away the Chagos Islands and stealing money from you and I to give away to a foreign country as well. Now, if you want the news the legacy media won't show you, because I checked the BBC and they made no mention of this move whatsoever, which is utterly shameful, then like and comment under this video for the algorithm and subscribe to the channel as well. Or you can join my Substack to see the content I'm not allowed to post on YouTube by clicking the link in the description down below. And let's get right into the video. Lord Hermer resurrects the Chagos Island surrender deal and tells MPs the government is determined to see it signed. Labour is determined to complete the controversial handover of control of the Chagos Islands, coming directly from the mouth of Attorney General Lord Hermer, Keir Starmer's best friend. The deal was paused indefinitely in April after President Donald Trump withdrew his support, labelling it an act of total weakness, which is categorically true. There is no arguing against this being a massive shotgun blast to the foot of the British people inflicted by politicians who fundamentally hate every British person. But Lord Hermer has resurrected the treaty, which critics have dubbed a surrender deal. Actually, it's not that critics have dubbed it a surrender deal. The legal framework for which this deal was planned to go ahead by the Labour government calls it a surrender deal themselves. They are literally, by legal definition, surrendering the islands over to Mauritius. They like to also call it a return, but Mauritius has never once in human history held control or had any kind of authority or sovereignty over the islands either. So saying that critics have dubbed this a surrender deal is utterly pathetic. They have labelled it an absolute betrayal, which of course the government haven't admitted. They're telling MPs, Lord Hermer that is, that he hoped it would be signed in the coming weeks and months. Despite his remarks, it remains unclear, however, whether Keir Starmer's successor as Labour leader and Prime Minister would continue to pursue the deal, but it is clear that Lord Hermer and Keir Starmer are doing everything they can to try and convince Andy Burnham to follow through with his treason. The paused proposals would see the UK cede sovereignty to the territory to Mauritius and lease back the incredibly strategically important military base that's also shared with the United States on the archipelago's largest islands for 99 years to the tune of £35 billion. Yes, they're stealing £35 billion off you and I, our families, our friends, our communities, our towns, our villages, our cities and our country, and giving it away to an enemy. They prompted widespread concerns that it risked allowing China to establish a presence on the archipelago, which it absolutely would. Mauritius would literally own the island. If they want to lease out a different island next door to China to build their military base, they would be able to do that. Lord Hermer told the Commons Justice Select Committee the Chagos Treaty and Agreement is overwhelmingly in our national interest. Again, just an outright lie that not a single person in this entire country believes anymore, but Labour are still pushing through with it. The negotiations we picked up from the last Conservative government, which were very developed negotiations, were started and we continued with them because of our national security analysis as to the importance of the base of Diego Garcia. Again, it is very easy to forget that this is a problem created by the Conservative Party. This did not start with Keir Starmer. It did not start with Lord Hermer. They accelerated the deal and they made it worse but the Conservatives were well under the idea that they too would like to surrender the islands away to an enemy of Britain and to force British taxpayers to pay for it. Nowadays, you can't get a single Conservative MP to admit that was the case, but it's literally written into the deal, and we have dozens of news reports over the years when the Conservatives were in power proving that they started the negotiations for this surrender deal, and they never once sought to just ignore the international court ruling that said we have to give the island up and put British people first. Once again, evidence that, unfortunately, the Conservatives are fundamentally unconservative. They may talk loud and clear now that they're in opposition, but every single day they were in power, every single day we suffered under their rule, our country got worse. Our country got weaker. Our economy got weaker. British people got poorer. They flooded the country with tens of millions of migrants who the British people did not want and exercised their democratic right to vote against. They betrayed us at every single possible level, and the Chagos Islands surrender deal is just one other nail in the coffin, which is putting to bed the idea that the Conservatives are a patriotic party once and for all. Here's, of course, the face of the most disgusting lawyer in the entire country, Lord Hermer, who has hounded and attacked British soldiers. Despite having evidence of their innocence, he has continued to sue them, and often even done it for free. He wasn't even paid. This is what it was about. This is what it has remained about. I very much hope that in the coming weeks and months we're able to sign the treaty again, because it's in the national interest of the country to do so, because of our national security concerns and the importance of the base in that part of the world. As you know, although the US started off supporting under President Trump the deal, there's been a change of position. Again, that's a lie. You would expect nothing less from the corrupt, tyrannical and treasonous Labour government. Trump never supported the deal. He did not know the details of the deal. The second he learnt the details of the deal, he opposed the deal and continued to oppose it, and still continues to this day. This idea that he used to support it until Starmer stood up to him over Greenland, it's a lie and nothing else. We remain determined to try and get it done. Absent a treaty being signed, there is no international law agreement that reflects in international law the terms of the treaty at the status as a treaty. Here's the thing. International law is irrelevant. There is no international jail that Lord Hermer and Keir Starmer are going to be thrown into if they don't give away these islands. There is no international police force to invade the islands and to take control away and give it over to Mauritius. There's no international military to threaten us with the seizure of oil tankers or whatever else it is. There is literally not a single thing concrete from international law that means that we should actually give this up. Except Keir Starmer's friends. Keir Starmer's friends have sat around the dinner table with him and told him that international law says the islands must go. And if you want to keep eating with us, if you want to keep drinking Merlot or Sauvignon Blanc, whatever else it is that those wankers drink and neck down by the gallon while they laugh at the humiliation of our country, well, he has to abdicate. He has to abdicate responsibility for our country. He has to betray our country and give away these islands. Otherwise, they'll kick him out of their posh lawyer club. The plan was shelved after Trump dubbed it very woke and an act of great stupidity. He said the UK was giving away the site of a vital airbase for no reason whatsoever. Defence chiefs also warned it would make the airbase inherently less secure. The treaty, which must be ratified by both the Houses of Parliament, so Commons and Lords, did not appear in last month's King's Speech, which set out the government's legislative programme, nor was it among measures carried over from the previous parliamentary session. So thankfully, up until now, it had been placed on the shelf and set aside. But now they're making sure, Starmer and Hermer that is, that they do not lose this battle and that they will win, which is utterly, utterly treasonous. Lord Hermer, a long-standing friend of fellow human rights barrister Keir, faced accusations of a conflict of interest over the government's bid to cede the islands. Before entering politics, he represented in the UK High Court a group of Sri Lankan Tamil asylum seekers which had been stranded on the islands. He lost the case because he's actually not a very talented lawyer or an intelligent person. He's just inherently evil. However, months later, when Labour came to power and Lord Hermer was appointed the government's most senior law officers, ministers agreed a one-off deal allowing his 61 former clients to come to Britain as asylum seekers. So again, more examples of these people being fundamentally un-British. destroying democracy and even breaking the law in our own country. This man went to court to try and get these asylum seekers into Britain, even though they were off in the fucking Indian Ocean. He lost in court. What he was trying to do was deemed illegal. Then the second the Labour Party get into power, he's given the #1 job, the top legal official job in the entire country, and he immediately ignores the court's ruling and invites those 61 illegal migrants, let's be clear, they're not asylum seekers. He invites them into our country and forces you and I to pay for their housing, to pay for their food, their education, their healthcare, their free cars, their free phones, and whatever else he's given them as well. Utterly shameful, but it's exactly what we've come to expect from the entirety of the Labour Party in 2026. Now, if you want the news the legacy media won't show you, like and comment under this video for the algorithm and subscribe to the channel as well. Or you can join my Substack to see the content I'm not allowed to post on YouTube by clicking the button on screen now. My mission with this channel is to provide the real news the legacy media won't show you, but unfortunately there are some things I'm just not allowed to say here. And recently more and more of my videos have been getting demonetized and censored, so I've launched an email newsletter covering the news that I'm not allowed to talk about here. So if you want to learn the truth about the establishment they don't want you to see, join my Substack by clicking the button on screen right now.